a pony at a gymkhana. He's got 6 minutes to jump some fences that are rather too high, but there we are. Don't laugh, you're taking up my time. I raise up my voice not so I can shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard. We cannot succeed when half of us are held back. And so said Malala Yousafzai, the 16-year-old shot, of course, by the Taliban for daring to want an education. And we listen to her and we're inspired and we're impressed. But perhaps we also think that such inequalities of opportunity lodge in faraway lands. Well, sadly, it is not the case. Oh, there's no question girls can go to school here. Indeed, we have nothing but females speaking out this evening. I have to say it's unusual to share a platform with so many women. If I'm on something like QI, I'm usually the only woman. I don't know what they worry about, that our cycles might collide and Stephen will get confused. But simply ticking the box marked female education does not mean that every child in this country is born onto a level playing field. The fact is that of all the developed countries in the world, the UK has the least variation in intergenerational earnings. What does that mean? Sounds like I've been infected by standing in a bank. If you are born into a poor family in the UK, you are more likely to stay poor. And as I speak, I find myself an unlikely ally of the former Prime Minister Sir John Major. Now, Sir John and I probably don't have a lot in common, apart from, I don't know, perhaps a love of circus, but a few weeks ago, he hit the headlines when he voiced his very strong views about the British class system. Sir John has always been held up as the poster boy for social mobility, rather famously brought up in poor circumstances in Brixton. He left school with 3 O-levels, and yet, through hard work and determination, he landed the country's top and most powerful job. He epitomises how merit can triumph over elitism, and yet, in a recent speech, he declared that in every single sphere of British influence, the upper echelons of power in 2013 are held overwhelmingly by the privately educated or the affluent middle class. And it's true. Did you know that 12% of this country's political and industrial leaders come from just 10 independent schools? There is a cycle of entrenched elitism in this country, which means that about 5 million people earn less than the living wage. And a recent report into child welfare shows that the targets to reduce children living in penury by 2020 are very likely to be missed. And we are going to leave 2 million UK children living in poverty. So what can we do? Well, we need to reach out and give a leg up to those who need it. As Sir John said, our education system should help children out of the circumstances in which they were born, not lock them in to the circumstances in which they were born. So 15 years ago, my very dear friend, Baroness Helena Kennedy, who's here with us tonight, herself from a working class background, growing up with her 4 sisters in a 2-room and kitchen tenement on the south side of Glasgow, inspired a charity which set out to tackle social inequality. And she has spent her professional life giving voice to those who have the least power within the system. So the foundation, on whose behalf I'm speaking tonight, was established to combat social injustice by identifying talented students and supporting them to progress to higher education. And all have succeeded despite crippling personal obstacles and many lacking parental support. And what the foundation does is offers them stable pastoral and financial support throughout their studies. Now here's the problem. Despite this, many find the doors to employment are closed because they lack the social networks that you need to secure your very first job on the jobs ladder. So what we're seeking money for tonight is a new project which is going to open those doors and change the current pattern of who does and who does not manage to succeed. So I'll tell you a very quick story of Hong, who's here tonight. She's known as Hallie. Hallie is one of over 100 students supported by the Helena Kennedy Foundation. She was taken into care by local authorities in 2007 after arriving in the UK with her father and suffering a period of abuse and neglect. And while she was in care, her father was deported back to Vietnam and she was left here in the UK with no relatives. And she coped by wholeheartedly committing herself to learning, which she describes as her real comfort zone. She's now an economics student at the Royal Holloway, and she's been helped with a £1,500 bursary from the Helena Kennedy Foundation, and she's seeking, rather appropriately, a career in the finance industry. So she knows that work experience will be vital in strengthening her CV, but what she lacks the social connections which are going to make it possible for her to get that first placement. And over the last couple of years, the foundation has received more and more requests from students like Hallie. So what we're going to do is seek funding for Go Higher. It's a project to get children like young people like Hallie to get secure work placements. And for many, including some of you no doubt, success comes from a combination of talent, hard work and lucky breaks. Just £6,000, the foundation will be able to employ a project worker who will connect with employers from key professions like banking, medicine, teaching, and offer perhaps the opportunity to get that first placement, that lucky break. I'm going to cut very quickly because we're running out of time. So without this support, lots of the students risk being unemployed despite all their hard work through getting their education. I have to say, I find this an odd, slightly uncomfortable forum. Can I just say for myself, I would happily speak up for any of the charities that are represented this evening, and I would not seek funding for one above the other. But the range of work that you hear about tonight shows how much there is to be done in this world. And the fact is that we urgently need to solve many problems, and we won't sort them if we persist in only seeking solutions amongst the minds of a narrow, elite section of society. Investing in Go Higher is an investment in helping to reverse entrenched elitism. It's an investment in talent, hard work, and those who most deserve the lucky break they need to become the leaders of the future.